Got dreams of being a professional podcaster, but have no idea what you're doing?
This is impossible.
That's about to change.
A new kind of school.
Welcome to the Pod School Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the show. Today I'm going to go right back to basics. Often on this podcast I'll talk about tips that will help you when you are a few steps along in the podcasting process, but often I'll get emails from people saying, how do you even record? And that's a fair point. If you don't know how to do that, that is a great question to ask. Of course, I have an online podcasting course, Pod School. You can find it at podschool.com.au. You can join up for the course there if you are looking for a step-by-step guide to all of the steps of the process to podcasting to help you go from coming up with an idea to actually getting it into people's ears. But I thought I'd take you through some of the ways that you can record if you are literally at the beginning of the idea phase and you've got no idea about how your voice actually gets into people's ears. There are a couple of options when you're recording a podcast, and the first is to record directly onto your computer. This is usually the best option if it is just going to be you that's going to be talking, because you don't need to worry about moving your computer around anywhere, and it's probably just the simplest way to go. So you just get a USB mic and you plug it into your computer and you record directly into audio editing software. So you can get a program like Adobe Audition, which costs some money each month, or you can get a free program called Audacity. So that's probably the simplest way to record your podcast. The next way is if you are going to have other guests or callers or people that aren't going to be in the same room with you on your show as well. Again, it is just your microphone and your computer, but the software that you record on will be different. Usually the easiest way to go is with Skype. Traditionally, that has been via a program called Ecamm. You would download that program, or if you had a PC, you'd download a program called Pamela, and those programs would actually record the video and the audio of your Skype conversation. Skype has finally come along to the party and created their own recording software. So now you can actually record with the latest version of Skype. I believe I have yet to use it, but Skype have finally actually introduced recording as a part of that application. So that's how traditionally you would record if you had somebody that you were speaking to via Skype. This counts for sort of interviews that you are conducting via Skype, so you'll call them on their Skype name. This is also another way to get people on if you are going to be calling them on the phone. Obviously, at your home computer, you're not going to have a telephone line tapped through your wooden desk like you would have in a radio station. So Skype is usually the easiest way to do that, and you would just get some call credit and call people and then record using either Ecamm, Pamela, or Skype's inbuilt recorder. Another website that got started up a little while ago that I've used that can work brilliantly but can also be a bit glitchy from time to time depending on your internet connection is Zencastr. Again, as always, I will pop links to all of these sites in the show notes page. Just head to podschoolpodcast.com and type record in the search bar there. So Zencastr is a fantastic website that basically links you and your guest up remotely. So you control everything at your end. You press record and they can see when the conversation is being recorded. So it's not like they're being recorded and they don't know. And then at the end of that session, it actually records your audio where you are and your guest's audio where they are. And then it sends you two separate audio files in a Dropbox that you just match up at the end so it sounds like you are in the same room. It's brilliant when it works. I have often just gone with Skype if I use anything purely because I've found that pretty foolproof, but I have people that swear by Zencastr, and really when it works, it is the perfect solution because it does allow you to have that high quality audio at both ends and make it sound not like you're talking to somebody on Skype, but like you're talking to somebody in the same room. So that can be a great way to do it as well. The third option is to have a portable recording device. I suggest this when you are doing a show that requires you to move around a lot and go and interview people. I think it's the best way to do that because you don't want to lug your computer around and risk it running out of juice or not being able to be plugged in somewhere, or heaven forbid you don't have enough memory or the computer crashes. I've recorded podcasts before on audio software and 45 minutes in, the entire episode has died. I did that once and I never used software again. A lot of people use software without any problem at all, but I am a get it onto a hard drive lady. And I use the Zoom H6, which is an awesome little device that allows you to plug in up to 4 microphones, and it's super portable. With my show, you've got to start somewhere. I go out and I actually sit down with people one-on-one to do the interviews. I don't do any of the interviews over Skype or remotely. So when it comes to actually going somewhere and having a little kit, having a couple of microphones and a little recording device that I can just pop into a carry case and take with me is really simple, really easy, and I highly advise that if that's the way that you're going to do your show. I think it's sort of the best way, the safest way, and every single time when I bring out all my gear, my guests are always like, "Ooh, this is nice and professional." And that's always nice when you sit down with someone because you don't want them to think you're a chump, really, do you? The last thing I'll bring up is something that's only just recently come out, and that is Anchor. They are also a podcasting platform, so you can host your show there as well. I have yet to use this, but I'm seeing it around more and more. It's an application or a website that allows you to actually record in the app or in the site. You can do it on desktop or on mobile, so you can plug in whatever microphone you want. Originally, when it first came out, there was this idea of recording podcasts onto your phone, to try and make it really easy. And I thought, oh God, the last thing we need is a way that makes crappy sounding podcasts. I like the idea of being able to take things everywhere, but for me, audio quality is the most important thing if you want to compete and have a lasting show, because there's a lot of good stuff out there. And if you're just talking into your phone in a windy park, you're never going to compete with the big guns. But now, there's a push for them to be more about actually recording and making it easier. The application that they use to edit, by the looks of things, is sort of a bit drag and drop. I prefer to use a program like Audition. But with anything, as long as you are recording high quality audio and it sounds good, and most of that is going to come down to microphones, and next week I'll do an episode on microphones. Really what you're recording into doesn't really matter. It just depends on what you prefer to work in. Audition is a much better program than Audacity, but the sound quality isn't going to be any worse at the end if what you have actually laid down in the first instance through a great microphone is high quality. So really your audio program comes down to your personal preference, and Anchor seems to be doing a lot of spend on pushing stuff out there, and the application looks really nice, and I think drag and drop stuff is really useful for people that are just starting out because it can be a great way to actually make it a little easier to enter the podcasting space. So that could be an option for you to check out too. It's free for hosting, so you can actually host your podcast there. And that is basically, a host is just the link between your show and all of the podcast directories like iTunes. So that's definitely worth checking out as well. I hope that's helped you understand what it takes to record a podcast and actually get it into a little file that means you can send it to your podcast host and have people listening on the other end. If you want even more in-depth help with your podcast, you can head to podschool.com.au and check out my online podcasting course. And if you have any questions that you want answered on this show, you are always more than welcome to email me. Just head to podschoolpodcast.com and click on the contact page. I'll see you next week, and until then, happy podcasting.
That's all for today.